everyone. Welcome back to the College Common Ground podcast. I'm so excited that you're here for another episode. I'm with two incredible guests today, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Sierra Smith. Typically, I vote more on the liberal side, and on the topic we're discussing today, I'm also representing the liberal side.
Hey guys, my name is Kenji Carrillo, and I am more on the center right, but on immigration specifically, I tend to lean a little bit more towards the right.
Perfect. All right, and I'll have you guys shake hands now. Should we be focusing on stricter border control or on reforming the immigration system to make legal entry more accessible?
It is for me? Or
We'll both go, and then we'll both go back and forth.
So in my opinion, I think I agree with both of those statements, right? As someone that immigrated to the country, like legally, when I was 5 years old, my parents, both came here from the Philippines, and they brought me here too. I think that the process to become a legal citizen should be a lot easier, and there's a lot of holes, and there's a lot of jargon that holds a lot of people back, and I think that's a tragedy because there's a lot of great immigrants. And immigrants bring a lot of great work and great people to this country, but at the same time, in terms of illegal immigration, I think that it is a matter of national security more than anything, right? I think it's our right as Americans to know who is coming in and out of the country, right? It's not a matter of where you're from or, what country you're coming from, but it's a matter of protecting the interests of our country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree on the fact that I think the process should be more accessible and should be easier. And I think if the process was easier for people, I think our issues with border control, we might, it might be less of an issue because more people could feel that they could do it the right and legal way rather than having to come here illegally, if that makes sense.
So ICE has been at the center of controversy recently. Critics say it causes fear and mistreatment, while supporters call it essential for law enforcement. Should ICE be reformed, reduced, or fully supported? Whoever wants to go first.
I think that ICE does do, they do good work. They help protect the country for the most part. But I think with the recent developments under the Trump administration, ICE has been used as kind of a polarizing, a federal, cop sort of trying, and it is fear mongering, striking fears into immigrants, legal and illegal immigrants. I think that that's not the right way to go about it. While yes, we should be protecting our country and we should prioritize, again, keeping people safe, I think that the way the Trump administration is going about it is not the right way to do it.
I 100% agree. I think there's a lot of reform that needs to happen with ICE right now. With people aren't wearing badges, they're hiding their identities, they're traveling in unmarked vehicles, they don't have the proper paperwork, warrants, anything like that, and it makes it really scary for these people to, whether they have documentation or not, to walk down the street every day and go to work and do things like that. And it is 100% fear mongering. And there's a lot of reform under this administration that needs to happen. I think right now where ICE is at, I personally can't give it any support just because it's not happening in the correct way. We've seen where ICE can be used in the correct way, and right now that's just absolutely not what is happening.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. With dangerous and violent criminals, ICE has done a great job with being able to find them and arrest them, for committing these crimes. But in terms of kidnapping people from a work site, from schools, we've seen it all over the news. I think that's absolutely the wrong way to go about it.
In your opinion, what is the right way, or is there a way to make ICE effective without crossing ethical lines? And what would that look like? If today, magically, you could make it how you view it, what would it be?
I think if ICE would target the people who were committing violent crimes or a part of gang violence, things like that, I think if ICE would target those groups specifically and do it in just the right way, you know, not showing up at a work site or kidnapping, things like that, like with the correct paperwork. We've done the research into these people. We know 100% for a fact that they are dangerous people. I think that ICE could be a great tool in that aspect. Yeah, I just think if they would target people who really are committing these like super dangerous violent crimes and getting those people out of the country rather than just targeting like every immigrant like they are right now would be my way to make it actually helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should prioritize, you know, like violent offenders and repeated offenders, right? Like we've seen like all over the news, there's been a lot like just like crimes of, you know, violent like gang members that come through the southern border. And I think in that case, that's where ICE does its job well, and where they need to focus their job on is getting the criminals and the violent offenders out of the streets instead of targeting families and people just living their lives.
One of the most emotional aspects of the U.S. immigration policy and just controversy in general is separating families. And so, should the U.S. ever separate families, or is there always a better solution? Or I guess, where do you draw the line, and what's your opinion on that?
So for family separation, are you talking about like specifically like at the border, or?
Yeah, we can just start with that.
Okay. Well, I think with family separation at the border, I think that I think it's the right way to go about it, right? So if I had a child with me and I got pulled over for a DUI, the police would also take my child away from me for that certain amount of time, trying to figure out the process, right? So it's not just an illegal immigration thing; it's an everywhere thing, right? It's what law enforcement does. And one way that they do go about, you know, separating families is that they want to make sure that these children actually belong to these families. Because there's been a problem at the border where these people will come in as mules and they'll bring in a random child that isn't kin to them and claim the child as their own, right? That's a problem that's been happening at the border. And being able to confirm that they are paternally, you know, theirs, I think it's really important, you know, step of the process of vetting these people and like vetting like people coming into the country, basically.
Yeah, I think at the like separating families at the border it's a more like difficult kind of thing because it's harder to look at than like people who are already here. I agree with Kenji. I think it is when you do something like that, like no matter what it is that's happening, like the DUI example was a really good example. Like you do get separated from your child for however long. I think as long as like they're working to bring those
them back.
families back together,
Absolutely.
I think it can be a very like helpful thing. Like you said, to protect people who it may be a kidnapping situation or something bigger going on there. I think as long as the
right process.
the right process is taken, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so legally speaking, entering or remaining in the U.S. without authorization is breaking the immigration law of the United States. But does that automatically make every undocumented immigrant a criminal? That's like, I feel like a huge question in today's society is whether or not an illegal undocumented immigrant is a criminal or not. So what is your opinion on that?
I guess it just depends on like the way they do come into the country, right? Like so there is the asylum process in which if you do come in, you know, undocumented into the country, you can apply for asylum, go to court, go to your court date, and see what the judge, you know, has to say about that. And technically speaking, yes, they would be classified as criminals because they are breaking the law, right? That's what a criminal is, someone that breaks the law. But, you know, realistically, like 2.5 million people enter the southern border illegally every year, and that's not accounting for people that come in through the Canadian border and that people that overstay their visas. So I think it's just the process of actually like figuring out, you know, who and how they get here, and you know if they did go through the right process of applying for asylum or, you know, getting their court date really.
I mean, yes, they are technically breaking the law, but I don't think I would label them at like all of these people as criminals. Like if you really think about it, like not having your citizenship is like, I believe the term, it's like it's a civil thing. So it's the same as jaywalking,
A lawsuit, yeah.
or like
yeah.
running. Like I feel like everyone has accidentally run a red light or done a rolling stop at a stop sign or has jaywalked or has maybe taken something from a store or something like that. I feel like labeling them all as criminals just because, I mean, we don't know the situation they were in before. It could have been a life or death kind of thing. It could have been, this is our only option right now. Me personally, I wouldn't label them all as criminals, even though maybe technically they have broken the law. Like if I saw Kenji walk out of Walmart with something maybe he didn't purchase, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, he's a criminal, like kind of thing. Like, I don't know. That's just, now if they come here and they're committing, you know, if gang violence is happening or they're, you know, a part of something bigger like that, then yes, that is, like, I would be like, yes, that is a criminal. But me personally, like, yes, they broke the law, but I wouldn't label them as all, like, group all of these people.
It's a generalization.
Right.
They're all criminals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Should the U.S. provide a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants already living and working here? And do you think that those individuals should kind of get fast-tracked, I guess, instead of, like, in a situation, do you think that they should be deported and then have to start from the beginning of the process? Or do you think that they should be put almost towards the front and kind of work with them while they're here?
I don't think they should be prioritized or moved to the front of the line, like so to say. But I think that they should, you know, receive the help that, you know, they need to go about the process of getting citizenship. You know, as long as you have a family and, you know, you're paying your taxes, you're not committing any crimes, I don't see the need for them being deported just to bring him back. I think that's pretty redundant.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's no reason, like if people who came here legally are trying to do it the right way and trying to like get their citizenship and do all of that, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't have that opportunity because maybe they didn't go about it the right way the first time, but now they're trying to, and I don't think you should be punished for that by like having to be deported again just to come back. I don't think you should. I agree with Kenji. I don't think you should be like prioritized or, you know, get to skip the line, like so to say. But I definitely think that if you're trying to do it the right way, there should be nothing stopping you from doing that.
Yeah, and that just goes back to like what we were talking about earlier. Like there needs to be major reform for the immigration process, whether legal or, you know, illegal. There should be just major reforms because the process is so murky. It's so muddied up. It's backlogged to hell.
Yeah.
Right. Like it takes years and years to get any sort of documents from the United States. So I feel like with reforms, I think that it would help legal immigration and it would help with the illegal immigration crisis.
100%.
What is y'all's opinion on White House official Instagram or any kind of leadership government Instagram or social media posting ICE content? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the posts that are made on social medias, but that's been a huge conversation, I think, online. So what is your opinion on ICE activity being put on social media or illegal undocumented immigrants being put on social media or anyone being in that conversation, I guess, on a public space? What do you feel about that?
I feel like, and I don't know if this is what you're referencing, but there was like a ICE or like ASMR kind of video posted with like chains and stuff of like, I guess to put you in the shoes of like a illegal immigrant like being taken out of the country. That like especially that because that was posted by the White House. Yeah, I think
That's crazy.
that to me is like disgust. Like no government should be no matter who is like president or running the country or anything, what their views are. I don't think any like official government page should be posting something like that about a topic that is so serious. Like
Yeah, but that's kind of childish to like make memes and kind of poke fun at that when it's a serious thing that's happening. It's
Right.
a real thing that's happening to these people every day.
Right.
I think no matter like what side you're on, but especially like for the main account of ICE and
Right.
the White House account to be posting that like you're a government.
It's
like-
almost dystopian.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
In conclusion, I guess, like, take as long as you want, but what would you say, like, if you could wrap up your thoughts and opinions and just kind of like the common ground that you guys found with each other, like final thoughts?
I think that we agree that there should be a lot of reform on the immigration side of policies and politics. That it requires a lot of change and not only for illegal immigration but also for legal immigration. That the system is just so messed up everywhere, and it doesn't benefit anybody, right? No matter like which way you look at it, it doesn't help anyone at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think we found more common ground than I thought we would. There was most points where we agreed on at least one thing or idea. So that actually surprised me a little bit, because normally in like conversations, especially about immigration, it can be very hard to find that common ground. But but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think just making the process less dehumanizing and taking it shouldn't take Kenji said, like, what, 10 years? You
11
said like
years to get-
11. That's
Because you haven't had your
Crazy.
naturalization ceremony
Not
yet.
yet. I think next year.
Like, that's
Yeah.
insanity to
And
me.
I've
That
been here
it's
Yeah.
I've been here for as long as I can remember, basically.
like that's crazy. I feel like there's no reason that it needs to take that long. So yeah, I think a lot of reform needs to happen with the process and with ICE, and it'll be maybe a little while before we see that reform happen, especially where we are right now. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think also just like just to kind of end off is just like just like my final thoughts of everything was just is that like again we need a lot of reforms, but also we need to protect our country, right? Like being able to know who comes in and out is, I think, very important too, right? Like just like on average for the last 3 years, I think it's 2.5 million people have been processed through the southern border, and like that's a lot of people, and that's people that have been found or like caught, right? So I feel like there just needs to be more reforms to get those people the help they need, the ones that actually do need asylum and are seeking a better life. I think there needs to be a lot more reform for them too. So
All right, I'll have you guys shake hands again. Yay. Thank you guys for
All right.
watching. See you next week.